Tonight from the Buccaneer class, we bring you a story of passion, dedication, and the thrill of competition.
It's a tale of a man who traded the comforts of a cruise ship or the allure of Broadway for a different kind of adventure, a journey that took him across the country, into the heart of a regatta, and into a dance with the elements. We invite you to step into the world of Rick Scarborough and the 2009 Buccaneer North American Championship, a story he aptly calls Invitation to the Dance. With the early bird discount for the Buccaneer North American Championship 2024 only a couple of days away, Rick's story should inspire us all to attend this year and embrace the joy of the journey.
Rick, welcome. Your boat's name, Sanguine, evokes a sense of optimism and positivity, embracing a challenge, yet finding joy in every moment of the journey. Your journey to the BNAC in 2009 was quite an adventure. You drove nearly 2,000 miles to San Diego, raced sailboats for a week, and then drove 2,000 miles back. Why did you choose this rather than a more conventional vacation?
Well, it's all about the love for the sport and the community. There's just something magical about being out there on the water, pushing yourself and your boat to the limits. Plus, the camaraderie with fellow sailors is something you just can't find anywhere else.
Describe that moment when you pulled into the parking lot of the club with your double-stacked boats. It must have felt like quite a spectacle.
Absolutely. The sight of all the Buccaneers working on their boats, and then my double-stacked boats drew their attention. Immediately, many hands were helping me unhook the trailer and push it over to the hoist. It was like an immediate welcome, a sign that we were all in this together. As the work continued, I made a quick trip to the airport to pick up my crew, Amy Domaratsky, who flew in from Ontario.
Rick, can you tell us whose boats you brought along and share some details about the other competitors and their journeys to the event?
Besides my own beloved Sanguine, I also brought Justin Hull's Madeline for Johanna Curtis and her crew, Derek Lord. They were among the 5 boats from the southeast that made the trip, the other 3 being a triple stack from Western Carolina Sailing Club, last year's host. Boats also arrived stacked by next year's host, Jimmy Yurko, as well as a stacked pair from Colorado. It is amazing how many boats made the trip across the country.
Rick, can you walk us through the preparations that take place from the moment everyone arrives up until the first start gun?
Over the next day, the usual semi-organized chaos reigned as boats were weighed, sails measured, and trips organized to chandleries for last-minute parts. Rivet guns were borrowed, masking tape and black spray paint made their way from boat to boat as adjustments were made to get each boat within legal parameters. By the time the practice races started on Monday afternoon, most boats were ready, and by the first gun on Tuesday, everybody was on the line.
The first few races didn't go as planned for you. What was going through your mind after those initial setbacks?
It was frustrating for sure. My first 3 races brought a 7th, 9th, and 11th. I knew I wasn't solving the puzzle correctly. But then, in a gesture of true sportsmanship, David Spira shared some crucial advice. I mentioned that I was making sure that each shift was real before tacking. Being primarily a lake sailor, I would count to 10 before tacking. He told me to trust the wind shifts and tack immediately, which turned things around for us. I was spending as much as a minute on each upwind leg sailing in the wrong direction. The next race, we used our good start to get to the first shift quickly, and tacked immediately. We reversed our downward trend with a 5th. We were back in the front pack and began moving up the leaderboard.
Rick, could you share with us what the atmosphere is like once the race is underway? How closely do you find yourself navigating alongside other boats? And could you highlight some of the long-standing competitors you regularly encounter in these races?
One of the more engaging aspects of a regatta is the way that you will find yourselves frequently in close quarters with the same few boats, race after race. In this regatta, those boats were Lazy Bones, helmed by Tony Chapman, and the Chartered Blur, sailed by Jeff Neurotter. Over and over, I would finish a race overlapped with one or the other of these boats, crossing tacks often as we dueled our way around the course. For the remaining 12 races of the regatta, Amy and I finished either just ahead of or just behind one of these 2 boats. The best part of all of this is that I have been racing against these guys for years, and we have a history of close finishes. Just a few years ago, Tony and I were 1 place and 1 point apart in Mississauga at the BNAC there. Jeff and I have not only finished 1 place apart several times over the last 10 years or so, but we're actually tied at the Springboard Regatta at Western Carolina last year. Thus, as the race leaders dueled in the front, our race among ourselves was just as heated and intense. Still though, despite all of the close crossings and tight mark roundings, there were very few penalty turns incurred.
You've compared sailing a double-handed boat to dancing. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, sailing, especially with a partner, is all about synchronization. It's about moving in harmony with the wind and the water, anticipating each other's actions. Just like dancing, it takes practice to get those maneuvers smooth and graceful, and when it all clicks, it feels almost effortless. Moving in concert with the wind and water brings the boat through the various maneuvers with speed and grace. It is no coincidence that the top 4 teams at the BNAC this year have sailed together for years. David Spira and Dennis Martinelli won the BNAK together in 2008, Jim Dowse and Sue Swisher won together in Mississauga in 2007, and Greg and Dwayne Cole have won 8 times as a team. Tony Chapman and Chris Robinson have been sailing together for years as well, although they have not won the BNAK yet. My crew, Amy Domaratsky and I were racing in our 2nd regatta together, but she has honed her skills with her dad, Tony Wright. While it may have taken a few races to get our dance steps together, we did have a lot of really good tacks and jibes, along with some sloppy ones, and 1 moment of glory.
Tell us about that moment of glory in the next-to-last race. It must have been exhilarating.
That race was incredible. We nailed the start and found ourselves in first at the top mark on the first lap. Sailing a little too deep under spinnaker, we were edged by the Coles at the downwind mark by virtue of an overlap. We followed close behind on the next lap and started the last upwind leg on Mandaloo's transom. As we tacked on the wind shifts, the Coles kept Mandaloo between us and the finish line. Our only hope was to get a little separation, so we started to tack on every shift, no matter how small a change in direction. After about 6 tacks, the Coles decided to sail their own race and allowed us to work our way to the right side of the course. There seemed to be no advantage in the number of shifts and no difference of wind speed as we both worked our way to the finish line. With the Coles approaching from the left, we had starboard advantage, and as we converged, they tacked beside us several boat lengths from the line. While their bow was just ahead of ours, we were sailing full speed, and they had to re-accelerate after the tack. Hiking hard to flatten the boat, we were able to nip them at the line. The finish was so close that all 4 of us simultaneously looked back at the committee boat to see who won.
Looking back, what stands out the most about the BNAC 2009?
It's the journey within the journey, a true matryoshka doll. The drive across the country, the series of races, each tack and jibe, it all built up to this beautiful dance. And through it all, there was this sense of community and shared passion that made every moment worthwhile. Sanguine loves such harmony.
Rick's story is a testament to the spirit of adventure and the love of sailing. It represents finding joy in every moment of the journey, embracing challenges, and sailing with the wind and waves. With only a couple of days left to get the early registration discount for BNAK 2024, let Rick's story inspire you to join us this year and create your own unforgettable memories. Visit buccaneer18.org to register.
Rick Scarborough's story is a testament to the spirit of adventure and the love of sailing. It's about finding joy in the journey, no matter how challenging, and dancing with the wind and the waves. For the Buccaneer class, thank you for watching.